Nanette Blitz-Kong was a classmate of Anne Frank's and one of the last people to see her alive. Like Anne, she found herself in the fetid women's camp at Bergen-Belsen in the winter of 1945. She also caught typhus. But while the Frank girls lost their lives, Nanette miraculously survived. And while Anne and Margot had each other, Nanette was alone.
Foi uma coisa horrorosa, porque
It was really awful because she'd completely wasted away. There was nothing left of her.
Praticamente não sobrou nada dela.
Even
Até
today,
hoje, não sei
I don't know
como
how we
nós,
two skeletons could
as
have recognized each other.
Ambos esqueletos, poderia ter nos sequer ter reconhecida.
Nanette was separated from her entire family and the sole survivor of her immediate family. While she also had typhus, she discussed seeing the Frank girls several times. They were welcome friends after fighting for her life by herself for so long. Nanette had been a friend of the Frank family and had even been in attendance of the birthday party Anne wrote about in her diary. In her book, Holocaust Memoirs of a Bergen-Belsen Survivor, she stated Anne was full of life at school and is convinced she would have been a great writer had she lived. However, the Anne she met in Belsen wasn't the girl she remembered.
When I found Anne and Margot in Camp 8, that was the original Camp 8, which was then a women's camp. They were both skeletons, and I know about Anne that she was wrapped in a blanket. Margot. I can't remember if she was also wrapped in a blanket, but she was also very weak. Completely, well, consumed, so to speak. And maybe she was wrapped in a blanket too. The clothes were impossible to wear because they were full of lice.
Nanette saw the girls several times in January of 1945 and also elaborated on Margot Frank's condition.
I don't think I saw Margot standing up. She was lying there. I hugged Anne, but I don't remember Margot standing. She was already completely weakened. And everything had shrunk. Brains, stomachs, everything. And I hardly ever spoke to her. She was already half gone, completely weakened. But Anne I did talk to, several times, and I think every time she came, Margot was lying there in a shed. She wasn't so well anymore.
Nanette was hospitalized for 3 years after the war. During this time, she received a visit from Otto Frank, who did not yet know his daughter's fates. She told him what she knew, but the girls were separated by the end of January of 1945, and Nanette did not know their fates. In 1953, Nanette moved to Brazil with her husband. She lives there to this day and has spent many years telling her story in schools. Her memoir was published in English in 2018,